Welcome to another episode of the Noles Podcast. I'm your host, Gregory McCoy. This podcast is by a fan for fans. I am not a journalist. I am not a reporter. I am not an insider. I do not work for a website. The majority of my content comes from me, in my opinion. Other information comes from the internet. Today is February 8th, 2020. I got about 5 different segments here for this episode. I hope you enjoy it. Let's go ahead and get started. First segment is entitled Florida State Video Game Uploads Explanation. Been getting a lot of questions in the comments on why am I doing video game uploads? Because I want to. I enjoy doing it. It's, I wrote something about that, but this right here is just off the top. I enjoy doing it. I never played with Florida State on the game before, and it's just something that I wanted to do. I think the more content you can upload to your channel, I just know when football is not around, I look for some kind of outlet, whether it was a podcast or, YouTube or whatever, to keep up or just, fill that football void. So hopefully I'm doing it for some of the people that listen to this podcast. And let me go ahead and read the segment that I wrote for this, or let me go ahead and read what I wrote for this segment. I started doing the Florida State video game thing just to put more content out there. I really enjoy playing this game with Florida State. For the longest time, I never used Florida State on the game. For some reason, it just felt taboo to use them on the game. They got multiple uniforms on the game. The black ones, which everybody knows I hate. I go traditional on the uniforms. I do the all garnet every once in a while. Just so everybody knows, I play on Heisman with the computer AI on 80. Except for the kicking game. I keep the kicking game even at 50. The computer dominates sometimes, but I always find a way to come back and dominate the computer. I wish Florida State could do this in real life. It would be very refreshing to see them back on top. Maybe one day it can happen. I think Norvell got this thing going in the right direction so far. He's only been on the job for 2 months now. I wasn't expecting him to come in immediately and just pull a Willie Taggart and bring this class from the 70s right outside the top 10. I just felt like that was impossible. Willie came in selling a whole bunch of hopes and dreams that he could never fulfill. To Mike Norvell's credit, he has really been genuine when he said that. He said it in his press conference the other day that, I have the worst recruiting pitch, in the country, because I just tell kids it's going to be the hardest thing you're going to do is be a Florida State Seminole. And I'm paraphrasing, but that's pretty much what he said. And I like that. I like that he's going to make kids come in here and work for everything, no matter your star ranking, no matter where you are in terms of the high school scene. He's going to come in and make you work, and that's what we need, man. So let me know what you think about this segment. I'm going to move on to the next segment, which is entitled Why I Started the Channel and Podcast. All right, because I get a lot of negative comments about me doing this podcast and doing the YouTube thing. So here's what I wrote about that. Why did I start the podcast and YouTube channel? I started the podcast on December 1st, 2019, after the Florida Gators debacle, just to voice my frustration. And then it just became contagious. I wanted to do episodes daily just to voice my opinion as a fan. And that's all caps. Fan is in all caps. Okay. I guess I'm doing something right, because lately I've been getting a lot of shade from podcasters and website pundits from other that do Florida State stuff. Also, they try to come at you with the burner accounts. But you come on, when I can't find that burner account anywhere, we know what's going on. All right. The YouTube channel has morphed from various content. I used to do other stuff, then it morphed to sports, and then it just morphed to Florida State stuff. When I first started the YouTube thing, I wasn't trying to be like a YouTube sensation, and I'm not trying to do that now. It's just, it's kind of like a hobby. It's just, just something to do, man. I was just messing around. I saw a famous YouTuber doing videos that I liked, and I said I can do that. The goal is right now to get to 100,000 subscribers. I'm not even close to that yet. It's just a goal. I mean, I just think in life you gotta have goals, and right now that's just a goal for me. I really enjoy doing the YouTube and podcasting thing, and hopefully it'll take off this year. I just think that no matter what it is, man, as long as it's legal, all right, every person should find something that they love to do and do it, as long as it's legal. All right. Whether it's playing video games or working out or going out to eat every day or going to the movies or whatever, as long as it's legal, do something that you enjoy every day, man. Get some kind of fulfillment out of life. Just don't go to work and pay bills. That is depressing. And for the longest time I did that. And like I said, this podcast and YouTube thing is just something that I really like to do. I'm really passionate about. And it gives me an outlet to get away from the job, and that's why I do it. So let me know what you think about that segment, and I'm gonna move on to the next segment, which is entitled Ron Simmons Pro Wrestling. And I'm kind of mad at myself that I haven't highlighted Ron Simmons before. I think I've said some other stuff about Ron Simmons, but I've never actually highlighted him. He came to my school when I was in the 4th grade, and I actually met him. I mean, I thought he was like the biggest man on the face of the earth when I first met him. This dude was huge. So this is what I wrote about him. Ron Simmons, the pro wrestler, Ron Simmons, the former pro wrestler and former nose guard at Florida State way back in the day. One of the first black world heavyweight champions in WCW. I liked him. I first started liking him when he was a singles wrestler for WCW. And I want to say he beat, I want to say it was Lex Luger. It was either Lex Luger or Vader for the WCW title. I could be wrong. And I know we got some fact checkers that listen to this podcast, so correct me, please. But I know he was one of the first black world heavyweight champions in WCW. I liked him also when he was partnered with Butch Reed in a tag team called Doom. Very dominant tag team. They didn't get the push that like the Steiner Brothers got or the Road Warriors, but they were a very good tag team. I mean, Ron Simmons was a phenomenal athlete on the gridiron and in the ring. He coined that phrase in WWE. I'm not gonna say it. You guys know what he used to say. I liked him as Farouk in the Nation of Domination. He kind of propelled The Rock to stardom, because when The Rock first came in, he really didn't have his first. When he first came into the league, I don't know what his. When he first came into pro wrestling, I don't know what his gimmick was. But when he got with Ron Simmons, aka Farouk, and the Nation of Domination, that was his gimmick in, and that's really where he took off. So he kind of helped The Rock get to where he is. I was kind of upset that he didn't get the big singles push when he got to WWE. He was with Bradshaw in a tag team called Acolytes, which was they won the tag team titles a couple of times, but they didn't get the big push as a tag team either. All in all, man, he's one of the best wrestlers, black or white, that I've ever seen, man. Just physical, tenacious, very athletic. I always pull for him because he's Florida State, and he helped put Florida State on the map. He helped put Florida State on the map when he got there. You can argue about Ron Sellers and Fred Biletnikoff and Ron Simmons. I think those were like the first couple of guys in the 60s and the 70s. Ron Simmons late 70s to really put this thing on the map. So, I don't know what he's doing now. I think he still does some part-time stuff at WWE the last time I seen him. So, with it being Black History Month and everything, I wanted to highlight Ron Simmons. Truly one of the pioneers for black people in professional wrestling. Let me know what you think about this segment, and I'm going to move on to the next segment, which is entitled Recruiting Recap. And here's what I wrote about that. Let's see if I can find it. My thoughts on recruiting. All right. My thoughts on recruiting are: Coach Norvell said that he got the guys that he wanted. I will take him at his word. My philosophy on recruiting has never changed. You don't know what you got until they've been on campus for at least 2 years. Anytime you bring in any recruits, you have to establish first a winning program and a elite strength and conditioning program. Once you establish those two things, you have to go out on the field and start winning games. That's pretty much it. Norvell, to his credit, has gotten 3 quarterback commitments, one of which is on campus, Rodemaker, and Chubba Purdy is supposed to be here this summer. So he's accomplished more as far as quarterbacks in 2 months than Willie Taggart did in 2 years. I've said that before. I just think that's just, I can't say it enough times. That's just amazing that he was able to do that. As far as the recruits that he have on campus, he said that they're working out. They're doing great. So we'll just see how it looks in the spring game. He got several offensive line commitments. So, hopefully they can put something together and, be competitive. I don't know if these guys will pan out, but at least Norvell was able to get them. I'm not going to break down the, recruit by recruit. I'm not going to do that. I like to wait 1 year and then I evaluate. I hope these guys do big things. Every coach that you see on National Signing Day says that, you never see a coach that says the guys we got suck. So they're always going to be optimistic. So we'll just see what happens, man. That's how I approach recruiting. You could get all 5 stars. I'm going to say the same thing. I would probably be a little bit more excited, but I'm going to pretty much say the same thing. We have to take a wait and see approach. Because for every Trevor Lawrence, for every Justin Fields, there's probably a couple hundred guys that you never hear about. So, for my last segment on this episode, it's called Florida State Down But Not Out. So here's what I wrote about that. I can't tell you how refreshing it is to have a coach that is able to get things done. Norvell says he's put together a great staff. We will see. 3 years of mediocre play. I hope Florida State can compete for 4 quarters, physically and mentally. To me, the main goal is to, in every game, compete for 4 quarters. Anything less is unacceptable. That is the biggest thing that Norvell has to rectify immediately. Also, he has to find the right quarterback. He has to find the right offensive line combination. Then I think Florida State can do something this coming season. Best case scenario, 8-4, 9-3, 10-2 would be a dream right now. It used to be like standard. If we went 10-2, the whole fan base was in an uproar. But I would love to see 10-2 right now. I think we can all agree that in 2020, Florida State is not going to beat Clemson. I think every other game on the schedule is winnable. But in the Clemson game, I just want to see these guys compete for 4 quarters. That would be a great accomplishment under Norvell. I think Norvell can turn this thing around. I've said it throughout this particular podcast, and I'll say it one more time. I think he's done a phenomenal job his first 2 months on the job. So we'll see how February and March and into the spring, how it progresses, and I just hope that he does great things, man. I'm pulling for the guy. I did an episode saying, no Norvell, please. And it was kind of, I shouldn't have put that episode out that soon because I didn't do any research on the guy. I knew his record. I watched the Memphis-Cincinnati game, and I must admit I like what I saw. But I didn't know. I was just thinking, okay, another AAC coach. This is going to be Willie Taggart 2.0, and it still might be. But we'll have to see what happens when the season starts. So that's going to conclude this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. It's available on YouTube. It's available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify Podcasts. If you're listening to this on YouTube, please scroll down to the description, click on one of the links, rate, review, subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. And as always, go Noles.